The reality of stress affects everyone. So what do we do about it? Well, here's how Ayurveda can help. I want to start off by saying we can't always prevent stressful events, but we do have control over how we deal with stress. And the way we deal with stress has many subtle effects. Different coping mechanisms for stress include, and we've all probably done one or more of these, perhaps even in the last week, right? Different coping mechanisms for stress include suppressing it. And by that I mean suppressing the cause, kind of denying the cause. And that goes right hand in hand with avoiding stress. Or obsessing about it and thinking about it, worrying about it, anxiety, or blaming others for it or taking it out on others. Kicking the door because you're mad at what happened at work. Another way of coping with stress is by meeting the challenges of stress cheerfully. Stress can disrupt any one of your bodily functions, and that's because the pathway of the mind in Ayurveda is the entire body. In other words, you have in Ayurveda, every part of your body has a certain amount of mind in it. Just think about what you do when you're anxious. You might shake your leg or tense up your neck and shoulders. And from the Ayurveda point of view, it means that your whole body is responding to your mind, or that you have mind in every part of your body. Some of the complications of stress include poor mental health, lack of stability, poor concentration. It includes indigestion, hormonal imbalances, disrupted sleep, and strain on your relationships. As I mentioned in the start, your stress response actually plays a much larger role in determining health outcomes than trying to reduce stress. And it's kind of a fad these days to talk about stress reduction, isn't it? Say, okay, you need to cut more things out of your life. And yeah, we do need to cut some things out of our life. But also, many of the things are in our life for a reason, and it's difficult to cut them out. And sometimes we can't cut them out. Think about a person who has several children. You can't just cut out one of your children. Or who has a stressful job but needs the money that the job provides. They can't just not do their job, right? And so in many cases, we might have limited power to reduce stress. And instead of trying to reduce it or feeling resentful for the stress that's in our lives, we can instead choose to respond to it differently and let that stress energize and motivate us, which can be a very adaptive and healthy, as long as you're not overdoing it and you're not just burning up the resources of your body by trying to do too much. So I also want to mention that stress reduction may actually be more important for women than men, and there's a bit of a gender difference around how men and women respond to stress. And this suggests that stress may be a little less taxing on men than it is on women. And that has to do with the similarity of stress hormones to male sex hormones. So stress hormones have a lot of similarities to testosterone in the body. They're both stimulating and motivating hormones. And so that can actually pump up a guy, stress can actually invigorate a male. And for women, the stress hormones are a bit opposite to sex hormones. And stress is more likely to cause hormonal imbalances as a result. So cutting stress out of your life where you can may actually be more important for women than men. And so that conversation on reduce stress or respond to it better can be a little different depending on gender. Managing stress is something that Ayurveda offers a lot of insight into, and especially around balancing Vata dosha and balancing the doshas in general. Actually, Ayurveda as a whole theory of medicine is all about restoring homeostasis, restoring balance, right? Homeostasis and balance mean the same thing. And one of the primary tools in Ayurveda for balancing all your doshas, and especially Vata dosha, which tends to be highly mobile and easily stressed, is through a good, strong routine. Now, Kapha people, Kapha is the dosha of excess. It's the dosha that may be tending towards a little bit more overweight and a sedentary, stable lifestyle. Kapha people are often Kapha in nature because they really don't like stress, and so they withdraw from anything stressful instead of engaging in it. And this gives them a more sedentary lifestyle. In fact, they feel very overwhelmed by stress, and that may even be due to weak adrenals, that their adrenal glands don't put out enough stress hormones to help them deal with the stress, and so they tend to avoid it. Now, Vata people, and Vata tends to be deficient in nature, Vata people have very strong adrenal glands that easily stimulate them, and then they're running around in a highly stimulated state all the time. Vata people seem to invite stress into their life and want to take it on. And so Kapha people need to learn how to cope with stress better and not get so overwhelmed by it. And on the other hand, Vata people are already good at coping with stress and probably just need to reduce the number of stressful things that they're willing to tackle. Many of our students, even come to start studying Ayurveda because they recognize Ayurveda can help them deal with stress. And so they leave their high-stress corporate job and then enroll in an Ayurveda program, seeking a simpler, more stable life where they can help others, become healthy in turn. And so their path of recovery from stress actually inspired them to change their lifestyle and study and share Ayurveda with others. When you're doing a consultation with a client, and you can ask yourself these questions if you are a client, you can ask yourself, what is your stress level? What coping mechanisms do you have for dealing with stress? And who do you look to for support when you're stressed? When I'm assessing a client's stress, I always ask them what their source of hope is. Because if a person is grounded in hope, if a person has is strong in that virtue of hope, then they are not going to be overwhelmed by stress. Stress will appear, but they will still be confident. So if a client tells me that they're overwhelmed by stress, the first thing I always want to ask them is, where does your hope come from for you? And that's a theological question, ultimately. So again, if a person has hope, they have the freedom to be cheerful when faced with something stressful. And so I also, when dealing with stress with my clients, just talking about the mental level, I instruct my clients to be grateful for life's challenges because life's challenges are transforming and usually bring a greater clarity to our sense of mission if we're willing to receive it as a blessing, right? If we see that stress and challenge as redemptive and as something that we get to tackle, then we're going to come out on the other side stronger. If we resent it and withdraw from it, then we're going to come out of that situation weaker. So I tell my clients to try to discover deeper meaning in the stress also. So that's just starting out with some mental approaches to stress. Let's talk about some specific Ayurvedic tips including diet, lifestyle, and herbs. Well, number one, regular routine. That means getting to bed early, getting enough sleep, regular meal times, not skipping meals, staying hydrated. Staying hydrated actually really nourishes your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are right next to the kidney, which are responsible for your level of hydration, and also the amount of water you drink, and electrolytes too. I don't want to just reduce hydration to water. Hydration means water plus electrolytes. So you've got to have enough water in your body and enough electrolytes in your body so those adrenals are going to be nice and stable. So hot, warm water can help relax tissues, and then add a little bit of lime juice and a pinch of salt to that glass of warm water, and that's going to help you hold on to that moisture, and that is going to help a Vata person deal with stress better. For a Kapha person, it's actually just the opposite. A Kapha person usually needs to get rid of some excess water, and that will make them feel a little bit lighter on their feet and more willing to engage. Sometimes even a Kapha pacifying diet, meaning cutting out the heavy carbs and fats, will actually result in better circulation, and that will cause them to lose a lot of water weight, and then they'll feel light, better tone, and be more willing to engage in stressful things when they need to. Establishing good work boundaries is a part of a good routine. Leaving your work at work. And stopping work before Vata gets too high in the late afternoon. If you're the type of person that starts to get really scattered around 3 p.m., you're not alone. That's natural for the body. So what you want to do is have that glass of warm water with lime and a pinch of salt around Vata time in the afternoon, 3 p.m., and maybe even take a nap, which is what I love to do. I love to do this. I will eat my lunch around 1 o'clock, and then around 1:45, I take a nap. Then I wake up an hour later, and I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to just tackle the night. Reduce screen time, especially at night. Making sure you change your light bulb so that your light bulbs in your house are soothing for the nighttime. Increasing quiet time, contemplation, reading a book, sitting in silence. Gentle exercise, going for a walk, taking some deep breaths to relax that muscle tension. A lot of the issues are in the tissues, right? Tissues hold stress, muscles hold stress. So we want to relax all those muscles. A massage with oils known as Abhyanga in Ayurveda. That massage is going to relax the whole body. Taking a relaxing hot bath can help too. And also spending time in nature. A Vata pacifying diet can help you deal with stress if you're a Vata person. But if you're a Kapha person, as I said, it's going to increase congestion and heaviness, and that's going to make you feel worse. So you can pause on this slide and look at some of the options here. I want to talk about, in general, the Vata pacifying diet is around heavy foods, sweet tasting foods, also foods that are easy to digest, and simple food combinations. Salty taste and sour taste, which is probably unusual or news, is also good for reducing stress. Salty foods and sour foods help ground the person. It helps them moisturize, which combats the dryness of stress. And also sour foods in particular are vasodilating, which soothes the whole body. It's important to pay special attention to your liver and in regards to stress and anxiety. Stress and anxiety attack the liver, and so we want to apply tonics for the liver whenever a person is frequently anxious or stressed. So that includes sweet tasting foods like applesauce, blueberry juice, and carrots. Oily foods like milk, coconut oil, and ghee. and all these foods should be cooling as well, including coconut oil and milk are nice and cooling. Blueberries are cooling too. In fact, all these are cooling. And many of these have all of them in it, right? Applesauce is sweet, cool, and mildly sour. And blueberry juice is sweet, cool, mildly sour, and has beta carotene in it. So I chose these examples specifically because they apply to many of these categories. Yeah, so sweet, oily, cooling. Foods that are mildly sour have a gentle cleansing action on the liver. We don't want to harshly cleanse the liver if a person is stressed, unless they're a kapha constitution. But if they're a vata person or a pitta person with lots of stress, mild cleansing is enough. And also foods with beta carotene, like sweet potato, carrots, blueberries, are also good for liver tonifying effect. Chicken liver is actually also a great liver tonic, and that can be extremely useful for a vata person who is scattered and stressed and anxious and exhausted. Again, those are not going to work for kapha. If you're dealing with kapha, you're going to want to do more liver cleansing with bitters. Let's talk about a few more different types of herbs for stress. Aromatic spices and herbs in general are going to be good for stress. That could be cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, cloves, fennel seed, and mint. Notice those all have a strong smell. That's what I mean by aromatic. There's also some other aromatic herbs like tulsi, which actually, I see it later on the slide, so I'll talk about it then. Sedatives. Sedatives are going to be herbs that calm the mind, but in a different way than aromatic herbs. Aromatic herbs are nervines, and they soothe and relax the nervous system, but they don't put you to sleep. They're actually wake you up in many cases. Like mint is refreshing and wakes you up, but it also soothes the nerves and soothes all smooth muscle tissue in the body so that you generally feel more relaxed. These aromatic herbs and nervines tend to open up blood flow because of the way the volatile oils in them relax smooth muscle tissue. It opens up blood flow. And so here you have something that opens up blood flow, making you feel relaxed, but is also stimulating. Sedatives, on the other hand, don't open up blood flow. They just make you want to go to sleep. And that's a little different effect than aromatic and nervines. Adaptogens are herbs that help reduce stress and normalize blood chemistry. And so they help you adapt to anything that's stressing out your system. Now, here's the nervine category, and I said that nervines tend to be a little stimulating, but skullcap and shankapushpi are not. Brahmi, tulsi, and lavender, on the other hand, are a little stimulating, even though they are relaxing at the same time. So we've talked about diet, lifestyle, and herbs for stress, introducing regularity, heavy, hearty foods, and these nervines and sedatives, adaptogens, and aromatic herbs. I also talked about hope as being this unique virtue that allows a person or gives the person the freedom to be cheerful, even when they're under stress. And I talked about how stress response can be different by gender, and that women may need to work on stress reduction while men may need to work more on stress response. And that could be also different according to the individual. So thank you for listening to this introduction on stress from the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda. My name's John Immel, and I'm the director of the school. Take care.